The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 14th day of May 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of companies, Medical House Windows, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's. How's everybody doing? It is the 14th day, as I just said, of May. We're one day closer to Bermuda Day, and you know what that means. Well, it's actually 10 days away officially. That's the unofficial start of summer for most Bermudians. Some of you finally put your toe in the ocean. Not even that for me. Not even that. You know, honestly, this is a true story. I did not go in the ocean in Bermuda from like 1999 through 2014. Like it was that long. Yeah, I just don't. There's fish in there. You know, I shared some video on WhatsApp last week, and I was like, it was someone in an island somewhere, and they were in ankle deep water, like ankle deep, right? And a shark chasing a fish came in like close. And I'm like, see, you all be acting like knee deep. Ankle deep's not even safe out there with them. Yeah, it's not our territory. We need to remain where we're coming. You all think I'm joking when I say you don't see sharks and all those whales and all them walking on Fifth Avenue. So why should we go on their Fifth Avenue? It's that simple. So let's keep it easy. Keep ourselves safe and leave the ocean to, those who swim in it naturally. Like that's how they get around, and boats. Anyway, yeah, happy Tuesday to you. Hope everyone is happy and healthy, feeling happy and healthy this morning. And greetings, everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today. We are going to be welcoming Josonne Smith from the BAC Group for this segment of Ask the Expert. This is a fun conversation with me because I'm going to make me vulnerable and tell you why it's a fun conversation with me. So you move into a place, I don't know if it's like this in Bermuda, but almost everywhere I think it's required in the United States to have a smoke detector or fire alarm system, right? And during your time there, that thing will go off nonstop and beep. Well, me not being the smartest cookie in the jar, I would just remove the battery if I keep pressing the button and it's not coming out. The problem is, folks, remember I said not the smartest cookie in the jar. I would take the battery out and not put a new one in. Yeah. Moral of the story, don't be like me. Don't be like me. But we're going to have a fun conversation with Josonne coming up, and we'll be discussing smoke detector, fire alarm systems, and how we can remain safe. I'll learn a bit about it. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Well, let's go. We've got the daily play too. It's more history. And again, first person who gets the answer right correctly on my screen will be eligible for this week's prize. But let's get into today's question, audience. Today's question, very, very interesting question today. And we have a lot of educators on this show. We have a lot of educators who tune in regularly to this show. And I really want to hear from them, but also a lot of parents of young girls, right? We need to hear from you. So the topic is, last week there was a lot of, engagement about something on social media. There was a school teacher, right, in the United States, a school teacher in the US, who allowed his students to braid his hair. Now, apparently, people are saying he's been fired since, but wanted to get your thoughts on this because the internet is completely divided on this. The internet's completely divided. Some people are saying there's nothing wrong with it. Others are saying, no, it's inappropriate. But let me show you a little clip of the video, and we want to get your thoughts, audience. What are your thoughts?
Let's go ahead and stir the pot a little, shall we? Last Friday, 10 minutes before dismissal time, I decided to live stream my students helping me take my hair out. There was quite the discourse in the chat, which had people saying this was inappropriate and other people saying this was completely fine. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing and people were just making it weird. So of course I had to bring this issue to the big stage. I would like to represent myself in this case, Your Honor, if I may. Number one, for a little context, I had a hair appointment immediately after school and I needed my hair taken out beforehand. I would have taken it out the night before, but that Friday we had a camera crew.
All right, let's stop it there. Let's stop it there, and let's just get right into it. Question of the morning is, what are your thoughts on a male teacher allowing his students to braid his hair? But just a yes or no before you even answer that. What are your thoughts? Do you have an issue with students braiding their teachers' hair? Do you have an issue, yes or no, with students braiding their teachers' hair? What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you find that inappropriate? What, yes or no? Just a quick yes or no, audience. Do you find it inappropriate? Yes or no? Do you see an issue with students braiding their teachers' hair? Do you find an issue with looking at that video? Do you see an issue with it? Awesome Tuesday to you as well, Suzanne Ingham. She says, awesome Tuesday, Jamal. So WKD Lama says, no issue. I'm upset that people are upset. It's not something to be outraged about. All right. So do you have an issue with students braiding their teachers' hair? Suzanne Ingham says, yes. Yes, she has an issue. Headley and Swan says, definitely not. Okay. Let's keep going. Any educators in the audience, any teachers in the audience, any parents of daughters, like, what are your thoughts on this? Again, as a teacher, some people are saying he's been fired since, but a teacher caused, a debate online last week when a video was shared of his students, young girls, braiding his hair. And there are people who say that it's inappropriate. And we want to know, yes or no, do you have an issue with the students braiding the teacher's hair? Good morning to you as well, Diana Gilbert, and she says no. Keep it coming, audience. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Yes or no? Do you have an issue with students braiding their teacher's hair? Yes or no? Yes or no? Keep them coming. Let's go check on our Instagram friends. Instagram friends, what are you saying? Yes or no? Do you have an issue? Do you find an issue with the teacher braiding the student's hair? And I'll show the video again for those of you just checking in. This is the video where a teacher caused an online debate and more where students were braiding his hair.
Let's go ahead and stir the pot a little, shall we? Last Friday, 10 minutes before dismissal time, I decided to live stream my students helping me take my hair out. There was quite the discourse in the chat, which had people saying this was inappropriate and other people saying this was completely fine. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing and people were just making it weird. So of course I had to bring this issue to the big stage. I would like to represent myself in this case, Your Honor, if I may. Number one, for a little context, I had a hair appointment immediately after school and I needed my hair taken.
All right, let's get back to the audience. Again, let's think of it in a Bermuda context as well. If you walked in a classroom and saw a male teacher getting his hair braided by his young female students, do you find issue with this? What do you find issue with this? Yes or no? We've got Diana Gilbert says, I think if it was a female, it would have been dealt with different, right? Yeah, I don't disagree. But let's get into the convo now. What are your thoughts when you see that? What are your thoughts when you see that? Rosalind Famous also says no, no issue with it. What are your thoughts on a male teacher allowing his students to braid his hair? What are your full thoughts on that? When I first saw it, personally, I did not see an issue with it. But then I start to understand people's perspectives. As a person who is mentored and been in Big Brother's programs and coached. If there's one thing that I am very aware about is not just protecting the children, but protecting myself, right? And you have to be very aware of how they, optics, right? Optics. This teacher may be the greatest person to ever live. Great rapport with students. Students fly into college straight A's. But you have to appreciate and understand, not appreciate, but understand why things like that will be taken out of context. Boundaries. We always talk about boundaries, right? No matter your relationship with anyone, you have boundaries with everyone, your parents, your loved ones. The question would be, where are the boundaries with this? Right? Again, we live in 2024. I didn't, but people are going to tend to sexualize things like that, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But that's just the era we live in. He took a risk, in my opinion. Let's be honest. This is the post-Me Too era. So while I may think that, well, I don't see anything wrong with the video, I understand why others do. I get it. What are your thoughts, audience? And Diana Gilbert made a good point. If it was young girls doing their female teachers here, would it still be an issue? I get that. Manuela John says, no, she doesn't. It would not be a problem if it was one student in a private. It would be a problem if it was one student in a private place. It does not appear that was the case. So, yeah, I appreciate that. Shonat Bell says, I saw the video and I don't see anything wrong with it, but respect people's opinions. That's where I'm at. I felt how I felt. Like I don't see it, but again, I do think in 2024, this is gonna come with the territory. That doesn't make it right, but people will find that inappropriate for many reasons. This right here, Diana Gilbert says, it was in front of lots of people, not done in private. If it was private, then that's different. She also said, I thought he had permission from parents beforehand. Maybe he did. But even if so I'm not comparing, let me be clear. I'm not comparing the gentleman to R. Kelly. But remember what people were saying about R. Kelly was that some of the parents gave permission. Remember that. So again, I'm not trying to compare direct one for one. I'm just saying, just because parents gave permission, if it was deemed inappropriate, then that doesn't necessarily put anyone in the clear, What are your thoughts, though, audience? What are your thoughts? Keep them coming. What are your thoughts on a male teacher allowing his students? If you walked in a classroom in Bermuda and you saw this, what would be the first thing that comes to mind? Would you think that it's an issue? Would you feel like, hey, no, there's got to be some rules put in place, some boundaries put in place? Or would you say, no, this is a teacher who has a special relationship with his students, right? Again, we're all going to have different perspectives, and it's okay to have a different perspective in this. At the end of the day, I think it's one thing that we all agree on, and that's to keep children safe from predators. I don't think this teacher, based on that video, again, I don't know him. I don't know anything about this educator, but based on that video, I didn't see any. I'm not an expert, so someone from SCARS, correct me if I'm wrong. It didn't seem like predatory behavior, if that makes sense. Manuela John says, to the point of the teacher being male rather than female, I do not trust that there would be any difference. Okay, fair enough, Manuela. Renee Simmons says, no, that's too much into each other's personal space. That would be a problem. Go to a salon. Then if it was in a group setting, that might be different, but will there always be around? So I see your point. What Renee is basically saying is what I mentioned earlier about boundaries. Where are the boundaries, right? At the end of the day, it is personal space. So where are the boundaries if we're okay with that? Diana Gilbert says it's like having students applying makeup to a teacher. Well, would that be a part of a class, or would that be just something that the teacher wants students to do that? Now, the reason I say part of a class, I was thinking when Renee was typing that, we were discussing cookery and needlework yesterday, or home ec, or whatever they call it now, family studies. If the teacher was actually teaching a cosmetic class or a class that reflected hair, would it then be deemed appropriate? I think so. The setting does matter, right? The setting does matter. Were these young girls people who wanted to get into that space, had parents or family members who worked in that area, and I want to do that, and said, Mr. Johnson or whatever his name, can we do your hair? I don't know. I'm not making excuses. I'm really just trying to understand perspectives beyond mine. Angeline Butler says, culturally, this is not wrong to me. So who was doing the most outcry from, or is knowing who is even relevant? Well, there was a lot of us doing some outcry, to be honest, Angeline, on Twitter at least. And see, it's something someone said. I think it was someone in the TDH crew. It's not like he was on the ground sitting between someone's legs. Like, it wasn't intimate, if that makes sense. It was nothing intimate about it. But again, it's still personal space. No, if he was paying for this service at a salon where they were training young ladies and these young ladies were working on them, we wouldn't be talking about this. It's about the setting and where it took place, I think. That's where I think the issue is, right? Manuela John says, is there any indication that it has taken place before? I haven't really gone on the rabbit hole because there's so many videos and opinions on it. Manuela John, like, I've seen some stuff, and I don't want to repeat accusations because I don't know what's true or not. But there's been some accusations about the gentleman in question, So I don't know. I just want to base it on just what's on the surface, whether or not we deem it appropriate, and would it be okay in a Bermuda school setting. Tony Bridgewater says, I don't see an issue, but do need some context. What is the class subject? Bingo. That's why I just said, would we be okay if this was a class that reflected this, right? Was it a random thing or a teachable moment? Well, he said that he missed his appointment, Yeah, he said he missed his appointment. But I appreciate, because one of the things that we should always do, right? We don't do it because we're human beings and we don't operate in this manner, even though it's in our best interest. But context is important. Many of us develop our opinions based on what we see or hear, rather than trying to understand the context in which things are done and said. Again, there have been so many things said online, and folks, the way things work online, there's a website, a Twitter account, which literally it's a like a meme account. They just spit out stuff and people run with it as fact, like legit fact. And so I'm very cautious and careful in terms of what I do share or repeat from certain accounts. But this was actually from the teacher's mouth himself, this video. So again, I'm going to share the video one more time. For those who are just joining us, we're talking about whether you think it's appropriate. What are your thoughts on a male teacher allowing his students to braid his hair?
Let's go ahead and stir the pot a little, shall we? Last Friday, 10 minutes before dismissal time, I decided to live stream my students helping me take my hair out. There was quite the discourse in the chat, which had people saying this was inappropriate and other people saying this was completely fine. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing, and people were just making it weird. So of course I had to bring this issue to the big stage. I would like to represent myself in this case, Your Honor, if I may. Number one, for a little context, I had a...
Yeah, so that's where we're at. Aisha Towson says, As an educator, it's important to establish space and boundaries with students, regardless of cultural experience, familiarity, or student comfortability. Thank you for that, Ms. Yaisha. And any other educators out there, I know we have a lot of educators who tune in. I want to hear about that. I want to hear from you because I think, as I mentioned earlier, boundaries are important. These are still students. Let's bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour news break. Don't forget, we have Josonne Smith coming up from the BAC Group. We're talking about fire safety, smoke detectors. Good conversation. Again, if you heard that example I gave earlier, please don't be like me.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, MP. How are you?
Feeling pretty good this morning.
Yeah, I'm glad. Got a new hairdo today, huh?
Oh, yesterday it was like this, but thanks.
You couldn't just let me have that. Anyway, Mike, any thoughts since you kind of gave me the idea for this topic this morning?
Well, overall, I mean, maybe it is a cultural thing that, to consider, but I'm actually quite shocked at the responses being more of like they didn't think it was that big of a deal. Mainly because, when it comes to, teacher-student relationships and, there's always gonna be boundaries put in place. Like I can't remember who said on the show, but even just like, I'm not gonna stay with students after school alone. I'm not gonna drop students off at home, even though those seem like nice things to do, but again, can be perceived very differently, especially for Black male teachers. Everything's looked at a very more crucial eye. Especially if it's with female students. So like, again, I know someone in the audience mentioned it, but if you look at it from every single angle, Black male teacher, Black students, or like male teacher, male students, male teacher, female students, female teacher, female students, female teacher, male students, every single one of those is going to look different, going to be perceived different from the community as to what's going on here. So yeah, it was interesting to see that most people were just like, it's fine. And I do get the relevance of it being around multiple students. It wasn't singular or like by itself. So that's also another big part to consider too. But again, it's just knowing that you have this responsibility for a young person that can be quite impressionable. And, there's boundaries there, and there's always a power dynamic as well. So teachers are aware of that, most are. And unfortunately for him, maybe didn't go as planned, and maybe what he thought, maybe a bit naive still into his role. But there are things to consider here for his own safety as well. Like you said, for your own safety and not just, the student safety. So quite the situation.
I agree, Maya. I think as the adult has to protect themselves as well as the students, right? So just be more aware of what it may look like, optics, and take the precautions. I just want to read this comment before you get into the news break. Yasha Towson says, you may care about your students and have familial ties with them, but as an adult, it's important to have hard lines in some areas for the safety of the student beyond your relationship. And I agree. I think, protecting the student, yes, but also protecting yourself. You don't want to put yourself and that student in a vulnerable situation that can greatly impact both of you.
Yeah. And when you think about the age of social media too, right now, I go on TikTok. I love seeing videos like teachers talking to the students, but you don't see their students, or like things that are happening in the class that they share. But sometimes you got to be careful where you're kind of crossing the lines here. And I wonder if schools have implemented or updated their code of ethics and things like that. If students have asked the parents beforehand, is it okay to actually record in my class and have your child's voice in the background? Do they sign off on things? All of that needs to be considered now in this age of social media and this age of content. So I'm just wondering on that part too.
Yeah, and I echo what Dr. Robbie says here. Good morning. Exactly. It's an adult-minor relationship, no matter the culture or gender boundaries. And I think that's I want everyone, if nothing else, to take away from that is we often talk about boundaries. And I think this is a case where regardless of culture or, gender, we have to understand that personal space is personal space, right? All right. What you got for us today, MP?
Well, good morning. Good morning. This is your Daily Hour News brought to you by the great people at People's Pharmacy. So starting out your news this morning, a man was stabbed multiple times in Sands Parish. Now, this happened on Sunday, May the 12th, around 12:40 a.m. So apparently a 33-year-old Sands Parish man was assaulted by another individual in the parking lot between Legends Bar and the Mr. Chicken restaurant. This happened along Somerset Road. Now, the injured man was conscious and transported to the hospital via a private car for treatment of multiple stab wounds in which are considered non-life-threatening. And at last check, the 33-year-old was listed in stable condition in the ICU. Now, any witnesses are encouraged to come forward and contact Detective Constable Patrick Jones of the Criminal Investigation Department by calling 717-2170. Or again, you could call 211 or speak with an officer whom you know.
That's unfortunate, and hopefully that person makes a speedy recovery.
Indeed, yes. And now, as we talked about yesterday, the collision investigation continues after a pedestrian was injured in Warwick. Now, you may recall that I mentioned this incident and the investigation regarding the involvement of a car and a pedestrian around 3:15 p.m. on Saturday. Apparently, the injured pedestrian is a 31-year-old man who was visiting from the UK and was treated on site by emergency medical technicians before being transported, and he was conscious into the hospital via ambulance for further treatment. It is understood that the visitor was later discharged from the hospital after receiving additional relevant medical care, and the driver was said to be an 83-year-old Warwick man, and he was not hurt. Again, anyone who may have witnessed this can please call 211 or speak with the officer who you know.
Yeah, and pedestrians, man, it's a serious thing, it seems.
It's been consistently happening, I think, more so now, because I was looking back at some of the incidents that we had in 2023, lead up in 2024, and I can bring up a chart right here so everyone can see. Might have to look in a little close. It's a bit tiny on the screen there. Thanks, Jamal. So as you can see from what I was able to list here, I started with the most recent, going down to what happened last in about a year time span, so May to May. And these are the incidents you see in the locations in Parish. Hamilton Parish, it occurred 3 times in Hamilton Parish, but not in the exact same space, but still in the same parish. The ones that did happen in Hamilton Parish, though, 2 of which were hit and runs, and both the hit and runs did happen in Hamilton Parish. So was something significant there that I was able to point out from this research. But again, locations generally from the start: Warwick, Pembroke, Hamilton, Sands, Pembroke, Hamilton, Hamilton. And most of the times it is, let's say, an older individual, whether it be driving or getting struck. So there's no real say as to like what age and people that this is happening to. A couple times it was visitors from the UK twice, and 1 American, an 11-year-old student who was just trying to cross the street after getting off a minibus. You remember the female driver who hit the workman of Hamilton, of the Corporation of Hamilton. So, so on and so forth in those areas.
Wow. I don't know what to say. I mean, you don't want to put it on government. I mean, these are human error. It's human error, right? Not even error, but it's human actions, if I could say. So, we've got to do better.
Yeah, it's those simple things, just paying attention, don't get distracted. Inattention is one of the main causes of so many of our collisions. Mm-hmm. Speeding and inattention, high up there. So just, and these are just things that can definitely be avoided. Most of these people were on crosswalks. Yeah. So it's not like, like the fault is definitely the driver. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, meanwhile, warrants were executed at different locations across the island, which resulted in the arrest of 3 suspects who were currently in police custody in relation to an ongoing investigation into persons defrauding a financial institution and one of its clients of a significant sum of money.
The Financial Crime Unit of Bermuda Police Service carried out the pre-dawn operation on Wednesday, May the 8th. A quantity of cash as well as other items believed to be the proceeds of crime were recovered during the execution of those warrants. Detective Chief Inspector Josonne Smith of the Specialist Crime Division stated that, quote, "I wish to thank those persons who came forward and provided information which enabled investigators to make significant headway with this matter. Their assistance has proven invaluable in putting a stop to an illegal activity which may have otherwise remained unknown to police," end quote.
Now, the inspector actually closed by saying that this type of partnership does benefit the entire community and enables them to bring, perpetual injustice to, the safer parts in Bermuda.
I have no comment on it. some things you're just like, man, this is normal now, huh?
Yeah, police just out there doing their jobs. Now, in other news, the government's annual summer day camps are about to open and to be registered for. The Department of Sports and Recreation invites parents, guardians to register their children for the government's annual summer day camp programs. You will recall that the Minister of Tourism and Culture and Sport, Senator Owen Darrow, did announce the additional funding that was allocated in this year's budget to help expand camps. That was like a big thing that was asked among parents and and guardians alike, that they wanted this to be something more because they were losing all these opportunities. So they increased the capacity more, they expanded camp durations as well. So camps will be available between July 1st to September the 6th. And also they expanded the variety. So a broad selection of camp styles is now available. So as you can see on the screen there, the different types of camps are available. You could screenshot that if you wish so you can know when to register. But registration is open 9:30 a.m. on Monday, May the 20th. Monday, May the 20th at 9:30 a.m. And you can register obviously at that time and pay at that time. The rate is $60 per week per child as well. And again, you can visit sportsandrec.bm to learn about more of these camps.
I'm too old, folks. I'm not attending.
And meanwhile, in some other news, keel laying ceremony held for 2 new fast ferries. So the Ministry of Transport is purchasing 2 40-meter, 550-passenger fast ferries. The Minister of Transport, the Honorable Wayne Furbert, underscored that the investment into our ferry fleet, the largest budget item in 2024-25 capital plan, is a testament to their commitment to modernizing public transportation. Now, this purchase will replace the J.E. Cecil Smith and Warbaby Fox ferries and is a significant step toward meeting the increasing demand for efficient and sustainable transportation options. With this advanced features and increased capacity, these new vessels signify a substantial investment in maritime infrastructure and promises to revolutionize the commuting experience. Now, following a robust procurement process for the vessels built, the Department of Marine and Port Services secured a contract worth $19.5 million with Strategic Marine of Singapore to build the new ferries. The ferries are expected to be in service within 18 months.
I remember when I was young, the ferries used to allow like bikes on them. That don't look like it's going to have space for bikes. Do people still take bikes on ferries?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. Maybe I have to look at these images again. Let me just look at the front one because normally they're at the very front of the ferry there. It looks like maybe there's still some space.
Oh, okay.
Looks like maybe there's still some space. I'm sure they wouldn't not consider that, but we'll be cautious and wait for it to come out and hear more about it within the 18-month span that it's supposed to come out. And lastly, for your news stories today, Harbor Nights is set to return to Front Street tomorrow, May 15th, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And this year is sponsored by KBB and the Department of Culture. Its theme, Cultural Roots and Sustainability Truths. The first Harbor Nights of the season aims to honor Bermuda's rich cultural heritage while raising awareness for environmental conservation. Now, Danielle Riveri, the CEO of the Bermuda Chamber of Commerce, said, "We are excited to start up the season and are very grateful for sponsors. KBB has been instrumental in crafting a waste management plan and has currently donated blue cycling bags, which we are now distributing to all the vendors. The Department of Culture, on the other hand, has provided input in the entertainment lineup for the evening, which promises to captivate the audiences." So Harbor Nights is up tomorrow. It feels like it was just here yesterday, and now it's back.
All righty. Yeah. One of my favorite times, even though I haven't been in quite a few years.
Well, you're going to get there, I'm sure, this year. And in the weather today, we're looking like a mix of sun and clouds, a little bit of wind as well, but decreasing light to moderate in the evening. And we got a high of 71. So looking like a pretty good day.
All righty. Well, I want to get in all you lot's pockets because today it is Online Romance Day. Yeah, online romance, originating from personal ads in newspapers and carvings on tree barks. The search for love entered the digital realm by creating the first dating service Operation Match in 1965. This laid the groundwork for Match.com in 1995 and eventually led to widespread acceptance of online dating platforms. So, how to celebrate Online Romance Day? Well, create a dating profile. If you're single, not that plenty of fish stuff. I don't need to get in anyone's domestics. Don't be saying, well, Jamel told me to do it to your spouse or better half or whatnot. Don't do that. All right. So if you're single, I said, now send virtual cards. Send your love interest a virtual card. Organize a virtual date. How the hell you do that?
Virtual date?
Hold on. So that means she orders her food, you order your food. Fellas, see what I did for you there?
Or you can cook together.
Oh.
To act like you don't FaceTime people.
Yeah, but that's a date.
Moving on.
All right. Anyway, I want to get in people's pockets. Has anyone ever dated someone they met online? I'll put my hand up. Plenty. No, see, we live in a time where before you used to meet people because there were so many places to go and things to do. I don't go to bars or clubs. So, I mean, you're not necessarily, and things change what kind of people you can meet in different spaces. But yeah, has anyone met anyone online before? Maya, you want to let me?
I've definitely gone on a date online, but I never dated like continuously a person that I met online.
Oh, I probably should have put that part too. But it comes across a bit worse as a man. Nope. Hadleen Swan says nope. Nicole Hassel says, oh, no way, really?
Not in Bermuda. Well, I highly doubt any Bermudians know. I have definitely done it in school.
How do you date online in Bermuda? You know everyone, right?
Exactly. So I don't see it being mainly Bermuda. I think it's if you ever were in school.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the way to go, when you're in college. Maya, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
All righty, here we go. Folks, if you've appreciated the discussion news break, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're about to bring in a very important guest after this break, so don't go anywhere. We're talking about keeping yourself safe with smoke detectors and fire alarms. Stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 24 seconds.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
It took 14 days to build your business plan. 6 months to build the courage to leave your day job. 3 weeks to find the perfect location. It took 10 days to outfit your space just right. And 1 day before your first client walked in the door. All totaled, it took you a full year to get your business operational. And this is just the beginning. To the entrepreneurs, the risk takers, the people that shape our economic community, we salute you and are here for you every step of the way. BEDC, providing knowledgeable, progressive, professional, and innovative support to Bermuda businesses.
Noah's Ark, the largest and most trusted pet supply store for almost 30 years. Not only have you watched us grow, but we've grown together, keeping the needs of your pets first, offering advice and giving back to the community. Shop online, choose delivery, or visit us in Devonshire. And with the Egg Show in view, we will continue our yearly support and help you find everything you need for one of Bermuda's most favorite community events. See you soon.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Office Windows, and People's Pharmacy. Do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Real quickly, as far as dating online, I date all of you every morning, and most of us met on this show. So we have some sort of dating online, and you've met me in person, most of you at this point. Just want to give a big shout out. It's my pops' birthday today. He turned 70 this morning. So folks, I have a tendency to call people in the evening once their day is, whatever, a birthday. And I surprised him and called him this morning. I'm like, where's he at? He's not answering. Well, I woke him up I feel bad, but he turns the big 7-0. So if you see my pops, Anthony Otterbridge, they call him Bridge, right? And he drives a truck called Trinity Electric. So if you see him, wish him a very happy 70th birthday. Life well lived, full of accomplishments, and hopefully he takes a day off because he just can't sit still. He's just got to find some work to do or go visit a client and help somebody. We love that he helps, but we also love that he needs to enjoy a little break. So happy birthday to the old man, Anthony Otterbridge. If you see him, tell him a happy birthday. And we're going to bring our guest for the day, Josonne Smith. We're talking with Ask the Expert. So get your questions ready. I know you all have some questions. We love these conversations, talking to the BAC Group about things that we need to know. So let's give a warm TH welcome. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Harvin. How are you doing this morning? I'm doing good.
Wonderful.
Good morning to Bermuda. Good morning to the audience.
Thank you. They are happy to have you, and I'm sure they have a lot of questions for you. But thanks for doing this so early, and hope you enjoyed the conversation backstage. And just for the audience, just tell us a bit about your background and what it is that you do.
Well, a little bit about my background. I've spent the last 27 and a half years in the life safety business. I was a lieutenant at the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service for that time, working as a fire prevention officer there. And so life safety has been a large part of my life. So caring about life is all about what I've been about for the last 27 and a half years. So I have to say, coming here to the BAC Group fit seamlessly into what I've actually been about, because here at the BAC Group, life safety, is our highest priority. And so I love that. And so it was easy for me to fit into this team here at the BAC Group. And while we have, professional services and professional equipment and certified technicians and all of that, the one thing that kind of stood out to me was that at the very core of their values behind all of this was saving the most valuable thing on earth. And that is, of course, life. And so life safety is what we do. And here, we like to say here at BAC Group that we bring buildings to life. Well, I like to say that it's because we bring buildings to life because at the end of the day, we want to save yours. So that's a little bit about me.
And how long have you been with the BAC Group?
I've only been here since last year, November.
Oh, okay.
I actually retired from the fire service late last year.
Okay.
And so, like I said, it was a seamless fit to come somewhere.
There you go.
It was all about life safety.
And I love this. I love this because, again, as we say often, obviously we're very privileged to have the BAC Group supporting this show. But for forever, people just heard BAC and they just think air conditioners only. So I'm glad that they have people like yourself in this space to bring expertise from other spaces. And as we brought you on this morning, we were backstage. I'm like, I remember his face. Was he a fireman? And you just, okay. So it helps us out. But, and someone said it in the audience, and Nico the Shield says, yeah, he used to be a fireman. So
yes,
it helps that we've got community faces in important spaces to educate people. So let's talk about smoke detectors. Early on in the show, I shared my ignorance. And we all are ignorant to some things. None of us is experts at everything. But my fire alarm just wouldn't shut up. It kept making noise, and I was pressing the button, and it would like talk back to me. And so I finally took the battery out. Well, had I been a bit smarter, I would have just replaced the battery and fixed it. So I think, although that may be funny to some, it's important to know, about your smoke detectors and how they work, what certain signs mean. As we jump into the conversation, can you just explain, well, how often people should, test their smoke detectors? What is the recommended method for testing them?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, first of all, I guess we have to let people know that having a smoke detector is one of the simplest proactive steps that you can take to protect yourself and protect the lives of the loved ones that you love so dearly. And so in terms of having them, first, let's have smoke detectors, right? But I have to use the right terminology. Let me back up. we right now we're dealing with the residential aspect of it, right? So I'm not going to say smoke detectors because there's a difference. What I'm going to say is smoke alarms. So there's a difference between smoke detectors and smoke alarms. What we typically find in private residences is smoke alarms. Now these typically have battery backups on them, and of course nowadays the Bermuda Residential Building Code requires that you have them hardwired to 120 volt and interconnected so that if one goes off, they all go off, right? To warn everyone in the house. But in terms of those batteries, see, the thing is, those batteries are designed to keep the smoke detector working under normal conditions for at least 7 days under normal condition. An alarm condition, they're designed to operate for a straight 4 minutes. Okay, but here's the thing: if they beep once every minute, and this is what you're not the only ones, plenty of people are annoyed by this, but here's why that happens. If they beep once every minute, what it's telling you is my battery is getting low and you need to change me. That's what it's doing. So every time you hear that little beep, beep, once every minute, all it's letting you know, change my battery. So yeah, you should have replaced that battery.
Interesting. So, folks, I mean, you're hearing it here. Don't be like me, as I said earlier. So you mentioned the difference between smoke detectors and smoke alarms. Well, what are the different types available at the BAC Group, and which type is most suitable for different kinds of homes or commercial buildings?
Sure. Well, in terms of the residential aspect of things, right? We have smoke alarms. It gets a little bit technical, whether or not they're photo or ion detectors, things like that. It doesn't really necessarily matter to the average person which one you get. Although I prefer the ion, they're a little bit more reliable. But we also have carbon monoxide detectors as well. And I know there may be some questions in regard to that, so I'll hold off on that one for now. But those are the things in terms of smoke alarms. Now you can get into things like wireless smoke detectors, but they require a fire alarm system. If you have that desire, you have the savings in your bank account to get that done. Not that it's super expensive, but you can have actually wireless detectors. That's some people have them connected to security systems and things like that. But the things that we're hitting on that's typical are battery operated smoke alarms and hardwired interconnected smoke alarms.
Gotcha. And we'll get to the questions in the audience, folks. You can keep them coming.
I don't hear your mic.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
Hello.
Oh, go ahead. There you go.
Oh, okay.
May have been something on my side. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't touch anything.
Sorry about that.
Audience, keep the questions coming. We'll get through as many as possible. But what are some common issues, Josonne, that can affect the performance of smoke alarms, and how can we address them? Well,
in Bermuda, unfortunately, one of the things that can affect smoke alarms is our humidity. That can get moisture in the chamber, or there are very, very dusty environments. Sometimes people have air conditioners that are blowing right on the detector, and it collects dust in that chamber. So that can affect the operation of it. One of the things we can do, obviously, is trying to keep the humidity in our homes down a bit. And if you see dust collecting on the fan, some people have fans and stuff like that. You see dust collecting on the fans, just make sure that you try and keep the detector clean so there's not a lot of dust build up on it, stuff like that. I wouldn't necessarily recommend people begin to try to mess with the smoke chambers at all, or simply replace them. If you feel like it's beeping, or if it's going to alarm constantly, but there's nothing happening in the house, then certainly I would say replace it. Doesn't cost a lot to replace them, so it's better just to replace them.
Alrighty. Let's speak about you mentioned kind of carbon monoxide. Is it recommended to have a combination smoke and carbon monoxide detector? Like what are the benefits?
Well, there are benefits, obviously. I mean, because bearing in mind that carbon monoxide is odorless, it's tasteless, it's colorless, so you wouldn't even know it's there. And the thing about it is that if you're breathing it in at high levels, you wouldn't know. Or
Mm,
what would happen to you is you just kind of drift off to deep sleep, and well, that's where you'll stay. And so
mm,
it's important to have that. But typically in Bermuda, we don't have a lot of things that require it, but
mm,
things are changing. So
mhm,
if you have fireplaces in your home, you would want you'll benefit from having carbon monoxide detection. If you have um, any, I don't know, wood burning stove or something like that, you
mhm,
would you would benefit from it. If you have garages, you know, where your car is parked in the garage that adjacent to the house, things like that, you would benefit from carbon monoxide um, detection. Also, another thing I tell you is common. I would say this: we have hurricanes, we have times where we lose power on the island. Generators can produce
mhm,
large amounts of carbon monoxide, and so we certainly don't want to run generators inside the house. But
mhm,
even so, we want to pay attention to wind direction and where we have them even outside of the house, so that if we have windows open and we're running generators for hours at a time, we don't want to have windows open where it's collecting that inside the house, and
mhm,
can certainly be a danger to us. So we can benefit from having those combination detectors in areas like that. Also, one other thing people have nowadays is like water heaters,
mhm.
gas water heaters. And so typically you would have them in the closet where that gas water heater is, or in the corridor just outside of that closet. You would benefit from having a CO detector in those instances.
Yeah, got you, got you. So how long do typical smoke alarms and detectors last? Like, well, and what are the signs that we should know or look for to know that they need to be replaced?
Well, first of all, these detectors should actually be replaced every 10 years. So if
Mm.
your detector has been around, when your mom was young, it's time to change it. You know, it's definitely time to get rid of it. 10 years, just replace the detector. Then there's the issue of course, of the batteries, right? Typical 9-volt batteries they usually take. They would last a year. So we always say when the clock goes forward or the clock goes back, change those batteries. All right. So they can coincide. And so instead of trying to remember how long they've been there, just change them when the clock goes forward or back like that. And then
Mm.
nowadays, of course, they actually have 10-year batteries, the lithium batteries. And if you buy um, detectors now, many of them, not all of them, but many of them are 10-year battery life. And so you don't
Mm.
have to, once you reach that 10-year period, you just replace the detector, which comes with a 10-year battery. I will say that though, unfortunately we don't bring those batteries, we don't stock those 10-year batteries here at BAC, but we can bring them in. And so those are the things that we want people to know. Such a simple thing can save a life. In fact, at this juncture, if I can even tell you, being a fire officer, I can tell you, I've seen instances where people have had smoke alarms in their homes. And one
Mhm.
story in particular, I can tell you, there was a lady in her home, just relaxing in her bedroom, having a great day. And she actually heard her smoke alarm outside of her bedroom
Mhm.
activate. And she goes to the door, she opened the door, and sure enough, when she opened the door, she was met with smoke in
Mm.
her hallway. And so and she was actually an older lady, so it took a little bit of time. By the time she got down through that corridor to her door, it was thick black smoke, but fortunately,
Mhm.
she was able to make it out in time.
Oh,
And so, smoke alarms absolutely can save your life, because in a fire, you have 1-2 minutes before that
mhm.
environment gets untenable, where you won't be able to survive it.
Indeed. And let's speak about, I mean, technology. We live in an extremely fast moving technological age, AI and the like. Are there any additional features or technologies available in modern smoke alarms or detectors that can enhance safety or convenience?
Well, in terms of smoke alarms, there are some modern technologies that have been incorporated now in smoke alarms. Some of them have lights, so if they come on, they kind of light your way if
Mhm.
it's dark. Others have wireless interconnection, and so they create like a mesh grid in the home, and they can wirelessly communicate with each other. Some of the more advanced ones can talk to you, let you know to wake up. There's a fire in your home and stuff like that. So there are, and then you start to get into fire alarms, right? Um, that they can go, goodness, they can tell you the temperature nowadays that's in the room, the humidity. They can tell you if it's dirty. They can tell you if it's clean. They can tell you all kinds of stuff. But the basic smoke alarms, they basically have lighting, and they interconnect and talk to each other. And again, like I said, some of them even have little messages that play out on them. But of course, that all plays into battery life in these instances.
All right, let's go to the audience. Audience, again, if you have any questions or comments for Josonne Smith, please send them through. We have Karen Simmons asking, do all new residential homes need a smoke alarm and fire extinguishers to get planning approval?
Great question. Absolutely. According to the new residential building code, they are required. But bear in mind, if you're building a new home, don't plan to have just battery operated smoke alarms. They must be hardwired and with battery backup. And you definitely require fire extinguishers. That's another simple thing in the home that you can have to save a life. It's a fire extinguisher. I can tell you they're required that you have a 2.5-pound fire extinguisher somewhere near the kitchen. But please, people, if you're going to have fire extinguishers, just install them somewhere where you're going away from where the danger is. Don't put them above your stove or right next to. Put it somewhere near the exit so that you can reach it and get to it without having to get near the area where you're having that fire. All right, and then I guess the last thing I'll tell you about that is, in terms of extinguishers, please make sure that they are a dry chemical extinguisher that is A, B, and C rated. That way you don't have to figure out what to use it on. You can use it on pretty much anything. Because if you start getting to other types, then you have to have some knowledge of what you use it on. So an ABC dry chemical part extinguisher is what's required in homes now.
All righty. Diana Gilbert's asking, why are some alarms so sensitive?
That's a good question. Well, again, smoke alarms have to detect smoke. So if you have, let's say, if we take this square and it's 1 million parts of air in this square, a smoke alarm should be able to detect 1 part per million. So what smoke alarms do is give you early warning. So rather than you being warned after there's a severe blaze and the environment there is superheated and it's smoked down to the floor level, no, it's designed to actually get you up much quicker than that. So 1 part per million takes a little bit of sensitivity in to detect that minute amount of smoke in such a large area.
All right. And she's also asking, Janet Gilbert's asking, can BAC come check them out?
Sure, absolutely. We can have our technicians come by. So, and like I said, later in the show, I guess I'll give you my email address and a telephone number. You can reach us, and we can certainly make those arrangements.
All righty. And real quickly, what are some best practices for maintaining and caring for smoke alarms to ensure that they function properly in case of an emergency?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is to test them. You see, I have one here. So here you have one with a little button of this. You can see there's a little button here that it says test button. At least once a month, I would advise people to just test it. Just press and hold that button. Hold it until all the other detectors in the house activate if you have interconnected smoke alarms. If you just have the old type in your older house or it's just battery operated, then certainly just press and hold it and let it beep for a few seconds. And that way, if the sound is very low, the decibel level is low, or it's intermittent or anything like that, change the detector.
All righty. We've got a couple of more questions. Mark Arthur C. Phillips is asking, do you have smoke alarms that can work in any smart home ecosystem?
Absolutely. They have smoke alarms that can certainly connect to smart homes. And again, those are the types of things are more involved with fire alarm systems. Okay, so you can automate almost anything nowadays connected to your fire alarm system, your security systems, all those kinds of things. They certainly can do that.
Alrighty. We've got Manuela John asking, can BAC recommend the placement of alarms in homes?
Absolutely. Well, in terms of smoke alarm, well, just smoke detectors, smoke alarms, they certainly should be in, and they're actually, this is a requirement. They should be in each bedroom, each sleeping area, in corridors outside of your bedrooms. I guess at this juncture, I'll have to warn people too. Be very careful about putting smoke alarms within 10 feet of your kitchen. They should be at least 10 feet away from the stove or kitchen area. Otherwise, you should have heat alarms, okay? They will go off at a certain temperature, but not from smoke, because people can produce steam and smoke just by cooking. You don't want to have them at least within 10 feet of your kitchen. But they should be certainly, they can actually be on the wall. If you put them on the wall, they can be approximately 12 inches from the ceiling. If you put them in the ceiling, they can go kind of anywhere in the ceiling. They don't have to be in the center, but at least 4 inches away from a wall. All right.
Okay. And just remind people, this has been honestly so helpful. I looked across because mine is 2 feet from my kitchen. And I convinced myself that I'm not burning my food when it's cooking. It's just that the alarm is too close to the kitchen. That's you just gave it to me. Thank you for that.
Oh yeah.
But in saying that, that's really good advice and helpful. But how can people get in touch with you at BAC if they want to learn more and get up to date with their fire alarm systems?
Sure, they can reach me on my email address, jcsmith@bac.bm, or they can call a telephone number 292-0881. My extension is 120.
This conversation honestly has been very helpful. I mean, I think every time we have someone from the BAC group, we're learning something different, whether it's solar, plumbing, fire alarms. Thank you for what you do. And I think what makes this even more exciting is that we have people like yourself coming from a space where you actually dealt with fires, and Mr. Williams, who was on last time, came from the sector of energy. So it's really helpful having experts and professionals like yourself come on, engage with us live, and be able to answer the questions. So thank you so much, and please do have a wonderful day.
Hey, thank you very much. We appreciate you, and don't forget, BAC, life safety is our priority.
There you go, folks. You heard it. Have a good one, sir.
Thank you. You too.
All righty, Josonne Smith. Folks, if you found that conversation helpful, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. As you heard, safety. That's what BAC's priority is, your safety. We're going to take a final break. Come back. We're going to do the daily play. Whoever gets it first on my screen wins a little something. And then we'll do the daily inspiration and send you on your way. But please do, whatever platform you're on, give us a like, a love, repost it, retweet it, share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Help us beat the algorithms.
Considering the increasing challenges faced by financial institutions exacerbated by market volatility, the need for insurance protection is a critical component of the risk management framework. At Friesenbrook, our priority is to safeguard your assets with the most optimal and cost-effective risk management cover. Therefore, we deliver a full suite of competitive insurance products to protect your business. Call us on 296-3600 to learn more about our broking services.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
All right, welcome back to the Big Show. Thanks again to Josonne Smith from the BAC Group for that segment of Ask the Expert. Thank you all so much for your questions and engagement this morning. Thanks again to the BAC Group, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia. Bermuda Trivia is now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and X. X is Twitter and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. It's time for, well, are you ready? It's a remember when. And again, because of a certain audience member, Suzanne, not calling names, we're going to have some Bermuda related questions. So the first person who gets this correctly, if anyone, will be entering this week's draw, which will take place on Friday. All right. Here's the question. A law passed making it illegal for restaurants to deny service to Black Bermudians in what year? You all couldn't Google fast enough for that one, huh? You couldn't Google, can't find the answer on Google. That's what it is. All right. A law passed making it illegal for restaurants to deny service to Blacks. Oh my goodness. You said 2019, Sean Bell. Did you have that little faith in Bermuda? All right. So you all got very close. It's not 1965. It's not 1964. It's not 1961. It's not 1959. But you're very close. Someone say it. You are close, 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 close. I want to give someone the chance to say it. I'll repeat it. A law passed making it illegal for restaurants to deny services to Blacks. In what year? Oh, you're saying that. Oh, there we go, Diana Gilbert. Congratulations, 1962. 1962 it is. Congratulations to you. 1962. So, Diana Gilbert, we will enter you into this week's draw. You will join Rosalind Famous, Diana Gilbert. So you must tune in on Friday to see if your name is called. We have had people who they don't tune in and they don't write us and their name's called, so they don't get the prize. So make sure you tune in on Friday. All right, folks, let's wrap this up. We had a conversation about the teacher and his students braiding his hair. I appreciate the different perspectives and opinions. I just looking at that video, I wouldn't have said anything is inappropriate, but I understand boundaries. I understand personal space. And at the end of the day, when we go to work every day, there are certain things that we don't do with our colleagues of the opposite sex, let alone this teacher wasn't just the opposite sex, but there was an age gap. There's an adult and then there's children. It comes down to optics sometimes, unfortunately or fortunately, it comes down to optics. And I just think whatever we do, whatever decisions we make in life, we have to ensure that we are not creating doubt. We're not creating something out of nothing. And these things are avoidable. These things are avoidable. Now, again, if it was a class which is focused on hairstyling, maybe that's different. But I think there need to be boundaries in 2024. As far as the conversation with Josonne Smith about the BAC Group and fire alarms and smoke detectors, I appreciate the conversations, and I really hope that you all leave these conversations feeling safer and better and more informed. I learned quite a lot. One of those things, I'm dead serious, I looked across, I'm like, that smoke alarm's not, that's like literally 2 feet away from my kitchen, So I think these conversations help us understand things a bit more, that can help save our lives. So if you got any feedback on that and you want more information, please reach out to the BAC Group. We appreciate them doing that. All right, time for your daily inspiration. Give me a second. Gotta get it. Daily inspiration. Let's get it. All right, here's your daily inspiration for the day. And this one is from Cicely Tyson, the late Cicely Tyson. She was an actress. Quote, challenges make you discover things about yourself that you never really knew. They're what make the instrument stretch, what make you go beyond the norm, end quote. And that's from Cicely Tyson, the late actress. Folks, again, if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share this conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Windows, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making this part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. Hey, if you see my pups, make sure you wish them a happy 70th birthday. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. I am out. Peace.